Yo, time to wake 'em up!
Bonjour et bienvenue sur Discover 360. J'espère que cette chaîne vous plaira. Elle est consacrée à l'intelligence artificielle, au voyage et à la tech.
Yo, check the mic, 1, 2.
N'oubliez pas de souscrire. Bonne écoute.
Next cipher begin.
You know, we're moving way beyond simple chatbots now. We are firmly in the era of powerful, personal AI agents. These things live right on your machine. They can manage your email. They can execute code. They can basically act as your digital twin. This is AI with hands, a tireless assistant that holds the keys to your entire digital kingdom. And while that sounds like an absolute superpower, it also unlocks a universe of brand new risks. And I love this quote because it just nails it. This is what we're talking about with local AI agents. It's not about asking for the weather anymore. We're talking about projects like OpenClaw, a really popular open source tool that let an AI interact directly with your apps and files, automating these complex workflows 24/7. It's a massive, monumental leap in what AI can do. So, to really get what's at stake here, you have to understand the difference in how these things are built. A cloud assistant like Siri, it runs in a super secure, isolated data center. But a local agent, that runs directly on your hardware. And that gives it incredible power. We're talking direct, unfiltered access to your files, your applications, and your secret keys. And here's the most crucial part. With a local agent, you are the head of security. And that, right there, that's where we pivot from all the cool stuff to the really scary stuff. That deep, privileged access, that God mode, is exactly what makes the agent so useful. But it also creates this massive single point of failure. Because if an attacker can compromise the agent, they don't just get access to one little app. They get the keys to everything. Let's make this terrifyingly real for a second. Imagine an attacker creates a single malicious link. You, not thinking anything of it, click it while your AI agent is running in the background. In that one instant, without you doing anything else, the attacker now has complete and total control of your machine. And listen, this isn't science fiction. This is a documented reality. Let's break down exactly how this attack, a one-click RCE, or remote code execution, actually works. It all happens in milliseconds. First, that malicious link tricks the agent into leaking its secret authentication token. Then, boom, the attacker uses that token to hijack the connection. Next, they send commands to disable any and all security prompts, breaking out of any protective sandbox you might have. And finally, execution. They now have a direct line, a remote shell, right into your computer. Game over. And we're not talking about some minor bug here. This vulnerability was given a CVSS score, which is like a standardized rating for security flaws, of 8.8. That is officially rated as critical. It just goes to show how incredibly dangerous a single flaw can be when an application has this much power. But the God mode problem goes way beyond that one specific vulnerability. An agent could be tricked into reading your secret SSH keys right from your local files. Or it could be told to execute a destructive command like rm-rf//, which can literally wipe your entire system without asking for your permission. We've even seen cases where users accidentally expose their agent's control port to the public internet, basically handing over the keys to anyone who stumbles upon it. So the danger isn't just in the agent's core code. To be really useful, these tools depend on community-built extensions, or skills. And this introduces a completely different and maybe even scarier kind of threat, a supply chain attack. So just how big is this problem? Well, one security audit of ClawHub, which is the extension marketplace for OpenClaw, found over 300 malicious skills. Just think about that. It's like an app store with zero security review, where anyone can upload tools that get full control of your computer. It is the Wild West. These toxic skills, as they're called, come in a few different flavors. Some just have straight-up malicious code, like backdoors that give an attacker permanent access to your machine. Others are sneakier. They trick you into downloading a so-called prerequisite, which is actually malware. And then there's the most insidious kind, skills that download and run code from a remote server. This means the attacker can change the malicious payload at any time, long after you've already installed it. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from one of OpenClaw's own developers. It's a really blunt warning that this level of power demands a high degree of personal responsibility. These are not toys for casual users who aren't ready to manage the security side of things. Okay, so we've laid out the incredible power and the pretty terrifying peril. The risks are obviously huge, but they aren't impossible to beat. This has kicked off a really important conversation about how we can actually use these agents safely and how we can tame this God mode problem. So what can you actually do? Well, 5 key best practices have really emerged from the security community. First, sandbox isolation. Run the agent in something called a container, like Docker. If it gets compromised, the damage is contained and can't spread. Second, command allow listing. You explicitly tell it the only commands it's allowed to run. Anything else gets blocked. Third, the principle of least privilege. Run it as a special user with the bare minimum permissions, never as the main administrator. Fourth, always keep a human in the loop for the big stuff, like deleting files or sending money. And finally, use a real secrets manager instead of just leaving API keys lying around in plain text files. And this really brings us to a fundamental choice. With a local agent, you get total control and complete data privacy, but you are 100% responsible for securing it. With a cloud-based agent, you're letting a third party manage enterprise-grade security for you, but your data is being processed on their platform. The key trade-off is this. A compromise on a local agent can be catastrophic, while the blast radius for a cloud agent is much, much smaller. And you should know, this isn't just a niche concern for a few tech hobbyists. Major cybersecurity organizations like MITRE, through its Atlas framework, are actively mapping out these new attack surfaces. That's a huge deal. It signals a serious industry-wide effort to really understand and get ahead of the unique risks that these powerful AI systems bring to the table. You know, when you boil it all down, the core challenge can be summed up by what some folks are calling the lethal trifecta. An AI agent has access to all your private data. It's constantly exposed to untrusted content from all over the internet. And critically, it has the authority to act on your behalf. When you combine those 3 things, you create an unprecedented and incredibly dangerous new attack surface. At the end of the day, projects like OpenClaw are really just a blueprint for what's coming, for the future of personal computing. These autonomous agents are only going to get more powerful and more deeply integrated into our digital lives. And that leaves us with a really critical question. As we grant them more and more autonomy, how do we build the right guardrails to make sure they remain our greatest tools and don't become our greatest vulnerabilities?